This is Southern Cross News with Joe Palmer.
Good evening, everyone. Many East Coast residents spent last night bracing for the worst as an out-of-control bushfire ripped through forest west of St Helens, heading straight towards properties. Good planning by the Tasmania Fire Service and a wind change eased conditions, but the fire still came within 50 metres of homes. Tonight, the Argonaut Road blaze continues to burn. It's already destroyed 5,000 hectares and is currently at an advice warning. Many residents are also still defending their properties after another big day.
As morning broke, smoke blanketed most of the east coast. The thick haze was coming from a nearby bushfire that last night had the small community of Goshen on edge.
I'm just grateful for the firefighters that stayed with us for the night.
Firefighters have been battling the Argonaut Road blaze since Tuesday, but around 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon, unexpected weather conditions created one of the worst possible situations.
The wind changed direction about 90 degrees 3 times in 45 minutes. And unfortunately what that did is it caused the fire to break through in the northern end of the fire, and then it changed direction again and headed towards the residents on Terryvale Road.
The conditions were so intense and dangerous, a helicopter had to land in the Riley family's backyard, so firefighters could get close enough to evacuate around 20 residents.
Some of the residents did leave, some stayed in place, and another wind change allowed us to have a little bit more time to get the additional crews in that we needed, and that allowed us to burn back around those residents' houses.
The fire came within 50 metres of homes, but luckily no infrastructure was damaged.
It was just embers and, just like candlesticks up in the back of the bush.
Just a red glow behind the trees everywhere, smoke, but very, very eerily quiet.
Today, around 90 personnel were still on the ground working despite the fire being back under control. 4 helicopters also continued the fight from the sky, and residents weren't taking any chances.
We'll stay here today. We're putting some sprinklers up around on the roofs and making sure the gutters are clear of leaves and making sure the fire pump's got enough petrol in it.
The TFS has warned this is only the beginning of the bushfire season. Here we're less than 100 metres from homes where vital backburning operations are taking place. Property owners say without this, their homes could still be at significant risk. Many St Helens residents are still on edge.
It's been a bit worrying, very anxious about it. This is the worst day for the smoke for us.
It's been so dry we've had bugger all rain, and that's the biggest problem here.
But some say the bushfire isn't all bad.
There's a lot of build-up there, and if we can lose all that build-up, it'll protect us from a fire coming from that area to St Helens for a long time to come.
With the weather on our side, we should be able to hopefully have the whole fire contained in the next couple of days.
All Tasmanians are again being urged to have a bushfire evacuation plan in place. The East Coast and the South East are predicted to be the most bushfire-prone areas this summer. And after last night's emergency evacuation, it's clear anything is possible.
Everybody's planning for the worst, but we can always hope for the best.
Monika Dadson at Southern Cross News.
Emergency services are currently responding to a serious 2-vehicle collision on the Tasman Highway at Runnymede. Traffic is being diverted around Bustmigall Hill from Woodsdale Road through to the east coast. Motorists should expect delays for several hours. The Premier has shrugged off suggestions the state government's new pensioner power bill relief bonus is a way to get votes ahead of the March election. Will Hodgman has also shot down calls for the bonus to be offered to low-income earners, saying Tasmanians already receive generous concessions.
Getting the ball rolling on the state government's new power relief bonus payments. In the lead up to Christmas, aged pensioners and Commonwealth senior health card holders will receive a one-off payment of $125 to help cover energy bills.
Whilst our economy is strong and our energy businesses are performing very well, it's appropriate that we do what we can to support Tasmanians to reduce cost of living pressures.
Currently, when you open up your power bill, you do it with your eyes closed and a worried expression on your face. So this will certainly help me and many others like me.
But the government has come under fire for not offering the bonus to all disadvantaged Tasmanians. Mr Hodgman says while the government recognises many need help, this is aimed at a targeted group.
It's important to note that Tasmania already has the most generous concession scheme in the country, so all those who need assistance with their power bills get a significant amount of support.
Meanwhile, Labor is pushing for the Liberals to join with them in supporting Murray Goulburn's Edith Creek workers. 120 jobs are hanging in the balance as the company moves to close the factory's doors. A buyer has so far not been selected, and Labor fears time is running out.
We're encouraging Murray Goulburn to sell the Edith Creek factory as a going concern to preserve those jobs and not mothball the facility and not cast those workers out onto the street.
We are doing everything we can to support this community.
Monika Dadsen, Southern Cross News.
A better than expected turnout at this year's Longford Show has put to rest doubts over the future of the one-day event. Organisers say the family attraction is proving more popular than ever.
It's an event that often attracts more than 7,000 fairgoers, and this year's Longford Show proved no exception. Crowds turning out for a fun-filled day with all the favourites, including dizzying rides, the animal nursery, and of course, show bags.
This is arguably the best one-day show in Tasmania.
Organisers brushing off concern the event is in jeopardy, following the Devonport show being cancelled and declining numbers at Launceston's.
We're not under threat in any way whatsoever. Wherever you go, there's something going on, where some of the other shows you've got to walk a lot further to see things.
So what is it that made this year's event so popular?
The dogs, I would say. Horses and the dogs.
I think the pony rides have been pretty good, and the giant slide.
Probably the horses. Yeah, I think so. Just the animals.
And if today is anything to go by, the Longford Show should be around for years to come.
Will you be coming back next year? Yes, we will.
Judy Augustine, Southern Cross News.
A number of rare pieces of motoring history have gone under the hammer today. Several personalised single-digit Tasmanian number plates gained a lot of interest from buyers, the number 8 and number 5.
I think it's so good that Tasmanian plates are starting to boost in value because they've been behind mainland plates for so long.
Both were expected to attract six figures, but today were passed in. A Porsche 911 that has competed in a Targa Tour, a replica Ford Escort rally car and a LJ Tirana also were on offer, but all three didn't make their reserve. This is the second time Tulloch Auctions has held the Only in Tasmania event. The state's best carpentry and cabinet making apprentices have battled it out at the WorldSkills Australia's regional competition today. The 10 carpentry apprentices were tasked to build a saw stool, while the 8 cabinet makers had their skills tested with a spice rack. They were required to read and interpret plans, make measurements and calculations, while showing great attention to detail with their finishes.
They're certainly being tested and pushed to the limit. It's quite stressful for them, working under a lot of pressure, and it feels like the world's kind of watching it.
The winning apprentices will now go on to try their hand at the national competition in Sydney next year. Crowds in Hobart joined thousands around the country showing their support for asylum seekers in the annual Welcome to Australia Walk Together event at Hobart's Parliament lawns, calling for an end to detention and a pathway to citizenship for refugees. It was followed by Down Syndrome Tasmania's annual walk promoting inclusion for children and families living with a disability.
It's just a fun day for all the families to get together and to be a part of the community and create a bit of awareness about our organisation.
The event is now in its 6th year. Launceston's CBD is a hive of activity this evening as thousands enjoy the food, beverages and live music on offer at this year's Fiesta on George. The street festival is tipped to attract 5,000 people by the end of tonight, with 24 food and drink vendors taking part.
Fiesta on George is just a celebration of colour and the vibrancy in the CBD, and basically just encourages people to get out and about after what's been a bit of a quiet time of the year.
Organisers also pleased with today's sunny and warm weather forecast compared to last year's rain. The event wraps up at 9 p.m. Tasmanians with a sweet tooth now have another reason to smile thanks to Van Diemen's Land Creamery, with the company launching its latest venture on Hobart's Constitution dog, providing a unique flavour experience for locals and visitors.
A saffron and pistachio, which represents Sandy Bay. We have a mocha hazelnut, which represents the Derwent River. And the Tasman Bridge is represented by the sea salt caramel.
The opening comes off the back of the latest tourism figures, which show a record spend of more than $2 billion across the state in the past year.
Meantime, Brighton jockey Max Cowan is recovering in the Royal Hobart Hospital after being injured when his horse Double Tap reared in the mounting yard and landed on him before the first race of the day at Hobart's Elwick Racecourse. Cowan sustained injuries to his pelvis but is believed to be in a stable condition. Western Australia is currently chasing down a 248-run total in their JLT One Day Cup final clash with South Australia at Blunston Arena. The Redbacks went into bat first, but things quickly unravelled, with the side losing several early wickets. Travis Head and Tom Cooper showed some resistance to the Warriors' attack before their partnership was brought to an end courtesy of Jai Richardson. Cooper, the best of the Redbacks batsmen, with 63 runs. She's one of the country's most well-known athletes and still holds national records more than a decade after retiring from the track. And tomorrow, some of Tasmania's aspiring young sprinters will get a unique opportunity when Mel Gainsford Taylor teaches them the tricks of the trade.
She was known for her grit and determination on the track, along with her blistering speed, competing at 3 Olympic Games and holding her own alongside the world's best.
When I retired, people asked me if I was going to be a coach, and I wasn't too sure because I'd had so much athletics in my life, but I have to say I've been coaching now for 14 years and I absolutely love it.
The 94 Commonwealth Games bronze medalist now travels the country teaching the next generation of track stars how it's done.
Kids, if they're involved in a lot of sport, running fast is really important, and we don't realise how important technique is for that. So if I can help them with their technique, make them more efficient, then it'll be beneficial no matter what sport they're in. So that's my passion.
And tomorrow it's Tasmania's turn to share in that passion when the 200-metre national record holder brings her explosive speed clinic to the Clarence High School.
I can relate to them. That's where you've been an athlete, and you know, even recently one of my gorgeous athletes got disqualified for stepping on a line in 200 metres, and I knew exactly how that felt, you know.
Young athletes can still register for tomorrow's clinic via the Mel GT website.
You know, hopefully in one way I can just touch, you know, one kid in the sense of, you know, maybe wanting to achieve what they want and achieving the goals that they've set for themselves.
Good evening. A beautiful day in Launceston for Fiesta on George, with the state's high of 21 degrees today. It was 19 in Hobart and Devonport and 18 in Burnie. 20 was the top at St Helens, it was 16 at Grove and Low Head, 14 degrees on King Island and 11 at Lyowini. Looking at the satellite images here, we can see low cloud over Tasmania and parts of the mainland's south coast due to a high pressure system over the Bight. Closer in, low-level cloud about the west throughout the day, spreading statewide in the afternoon. Tomorrow's chart shows the high remaining over the Bight and Central Australia, extending a ridge over New South Wales and Queensland. On the waters, west to southwesterly winds reaching 30 knots at times about the south, seas mostly around 2 metres. There is a strong wind warning current for lower eastern and southern coastal waters from Wineglass Bay to Low Rocky Point. Now let's take a closer look around the state tomorrow. Hobart a top of 18, Richmond 19, Ouse 17, all with possible morning showers. A partly cloudy 22 degrees for Launceston, Devonport mostly sunny 19 the top, Deloraine 19 also. Burnie a possible morning shower 19, Strawn showers and 15, Curry 14. A possible early shower for St Helens 20 degrees, Swansea 19 and 18 the top for Whitemark. Moderate to high UV across the state. Looking ahead to next week, Monday showers about the west and south spreading statewide in the evening. More showers on Tuesday clearing in the afternoon, and Wednesday mostly fine around the state aside from possible showers about the east and far south. Storms for Perth and Darwin tomorrow, showers for Sydney and Melbourne, and a mostly sunny 24 degrees for Brisbane. Now let's take a look at the current conditions around the state. Hobart 15 degrees, partly cloudy. It's clear in Launceston and Devonport. 17 for Launceston, 15 in Devonport. And that's all the weather for tonight. Thanks, Jo.
Lovely. Thanks, Brett. Well, that's all from the news team for now. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Thanks so much for your company. Good night.